This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Good morning and welcome to the Grow Omaha Show, the area's only economic development and commercial real estate radio show, brought to you by D&M Roofing and Siding and Dingman's Collision Center. Happy New Year, and I hope everyone's has a great but safe celebration while welcoming 2023. My fearless co-host, Jeff Beals, is taking the weekend off. While I'm talking about being safe, it is a perfect time to welcome my guest, Douglas County Sheriff-elect Aaron Hansen, who will be sworn in at 2 p.m. January 5th at 1819 Farnham in the Legislative Chambers. It's open to the public. First of all, Aaron, welcome to the Grow Omaha Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your continued amazing public service and stepping up to lead the Sheriff's Office.
Well, thank you. It's an honor. It is genuinely an honor to serve and protect the people of Omaha and Douglas County, and I look forward to continuing that in this new role. And
you've had 25 years of public service as a police officer and many other roles with law enforcement, correct?
Yeah, over 26.
Oh, wow.
Just shy of 26 and a half.
And thanks for having the guts and the commitment to keep our area safe. While I look forward to sharing your expert point of view and outlook on Omaha's public safety and your plans for the Sheriff's Office, as well as your expertise in many of the social services organizations that make Omaha a vibrant and great place to live, first we have the economic development news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. You know, we talk about Eagle Mortgage all the time, and Eagle Mortgage, what they do is they shop the different mortgage companies. They're a mortgage broker to get you the best deal, and they have a lot better way of getting you the best terms, because a lot of banks and other places that you go to only use one source or a couple sources. Eagle Mortgage will shop your loan. They've been in business for over 30 years. They're licensed mortgage brokers in Nebraska and Iowa. Free consultations. Get pre-approved conventional VA and FHA loans. They're on the corner of 114th and 114th and Davenport, just south of 114th and Dodge. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. Holly and her team do a great job. Well, CoStar provides us with national news, data analytics, and all kinds of information regarding economic development and commercial real estate trends. Nationally, industrial demand is on pace to make 2022 the second strongest on record as businesses grabbed warehouse space for most of the year, even in the face of economic concerns about a potential global recession. The United States is headed towards surpassing 400 million square feet more space leased this year for just the second time after 2021's record-shattering 518 million square feet of net absorption, according to Brandon Zvek, an industrial analyst for CoStar's National Director of U.S. Retail Analytics. Industrial property sales are on track to reach their second highest annual total of all time after last year's $125 billion in sales, though buyers and sellers pulled back in recent months and amid worries of rising interest rates and a slowing economy. The good news, Aaron, is that locally, Omaha is a pretty conservative town, but we're seeing industrial parks, especially in Sarpy County and also northwest in Douglas County, and we lease them as fast as we can build them. And so we're excited about what's going to happen in industrial real estate in Omaha. It's stronger than the office market, but the office market is doing fine, and so is retail. Other economic development news: construction has reached the second floor of a future 6-story Hampton Inn on the southeast corner of 44th and Douglas Street. The hotel will be serve the growing Med Center area. Nearby demolition is about complete on both the former Monroe Meyer Institute and former Omaha Public Schools building. Those demolition projects will make way for a nearly $3 billion next complex and a 7-story administrative tower on the Med Center campus. Have you heard about this next project?
I have. Yeah, it's not only impressive, but it's going to be a job generator for a lot of people in our community to build that infrastructure.
Aren't they talking about 8,700 jobs, well-paying jobs, and thousands of construction jobs?
Yeah, I know the trade industry is very excited about that project as well as the Mutual of Omaha project.
So I think federally they're waiting for the final funding or whatever, but Omaha is going to be the first of 5. It's, I believe it's Homeland Security, and it's a teaching hospital, and the Med Center has done great things with curing Ebola patients. And if there's another pandemic or there's something, it's a self-contained hospital as well. So we cannot wait till that gets built. Omaha Public Power District is starting early preparation work for next year's planned widening of 156th Street between Pacific and Dodge Street. Actual construction will begin next year. The stretch of 156th Street will be converted from 2-lane rural road into a 4-lane divided thoroughfare. It's about time, ladies and gentlemen. And construction has started on the Warhorse Casino, which will be part of a Horseman's Park at 64th and Q Street. The casino will open in early 2024. Plans call for 800 slot machines plus table games. Operators estimate the casino will generate $150 million a year in revenue. It will be the area's 5th casino, joining Harrah's, Ameristar, Horseshoe, and Prairie Flower. No matter what you think about casinos, they certainly generate revenue, but it also comes with a weird element.
It does, and I just got done talking with the chief of Ralston PD, Chief Leonardo, and the mayor and their city council about how what can the sheriff's office do to help the city of Ralston stay safe in light of all that growth. It's going to be a lot of people coming through that area when that casino opens.
It'd be interesting. They're doing some road work there, but it'll be interesting to see whether it'll be enough. And also, New Street Properties of Omaha has sold a large retail building at 909 South 72nd Street to Caller Properties in Lexington, Kentucky. According to Investors Realty, tenants in the building include Kohl's Discount Store, an Aldi supermarket, and a Cavender's Western Wear store. And what we're seeing, interestingly, is Omaha is a stable market, and we're getting investors from around the world, but from the coast, and people look at Omaha. I get calls all the time from people that want to place money. They see Omaha as a kind of a safe haven compared to the Californias and Chicagos and New Yorks when it comes to investing in apartments, retail, and office buildings. And one of the things that really drew me in when you started your campaign, what was it, about a year ago?
Yeah, I'd say about a year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago. And Aaron Hansen called me up, ladies and gentlemen, and we had met each other at political functions and things like that. And he said, hey, I'm really concerned. I'm running for Douglas County Sheriff, but I'm really concerned about Omaha's built environment, apartments, office buildings, retail, and what are we doing to protect the assets of our community? Expand on that a little bit. What you're looking to do there.
Sure. Well, I think that the idea came about because of Chief Todd Schmader's focus on specialization in the Omaha Police Department. Long story short, he has a detective, Detective Sherry Gooley, who's in the burglary unit, and she was allowed to specialize in retail crime and retail theft and retail fraud, and that's really her focus right now. And so she's done great work. She's really put a dent in these groups that prey on the retail community, and that really left me with the belief that in law enforcement, especially in a county the size of Douglas County, if we can have more industry specialization, if we can have law enforcement specialists, even on an auxiliary capacity, that are the go-to industry expert for that industry, that have unique public safety or crime challenges or large volumes of people flowing through their industry, whether it's customers or residents or even unfortunately, sometimes criminals. It's important, I think, to have those industry experts that people can call. Nothing is more frustrating than being in a business community and having to re-explain your nuances of your industry when it comes to crime or public safety to a brand new officer over and over. I think we can do better.
And there'll be habitual criminals, whether it's drug addicts or whomever, that will go into a building, strip all the copper or precious metals out of something, cause tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage for maybe $50 to $100, worth of copper, and it really affects that business.
And that's again where it comes down to the communication and having an industry liaison in law enforcement. So, for example, you're talking there about copper thieves, construction area thieves. It is a very small number of people in our community that are doing that crime over and over and over. Like, you didn't wake up this morning and go, I think I'm going to give copper theft a try. It's the same guy doing it over, getting arrested repeatedly by OPD, Douglas County Sheriff, getting a bond, getting out, and doing it all over again. So, I think if we can figure out who those guys are, I want to be able to grow the sheriff's office to really focus in on those repeat offenders when they're out under supervision, whether it's pretrial release or probation, not only to prevent crimes from happening again, but also help those individuals to rehabilitate and get better and get into the workforce. Don't be a predator on these businesses. Be an employee and a customer for these businesses.
Well, the economic development news took a little bit of a turn today, but at the same time, keeping safe properties definitely affects economic development.
Absolutely.
That was the economic development news of the week, sponsored by Eagle Mortgage Company. Go to eaglemortgagecompany.com, and we're going to take a short break. But when we come back, we're going to talk to Aaron Hansen, Sheriff-elect, and learn more about what he's done in the past and what he's going to do in the future in the office. You're listening to Trent Magid and guest Aaron Hansen, sponsored by Dingman's Collision Center and Dingman's Roofing and Siding on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Music event of the year is coming to the
Didn't mean to sidetrack you on that.
2022
I welcomed it. Yeah.
Once in a lifetime performances from the biggest superstars in all of
Now you know why Jeff gets the seat. His job is safe.
You did great.
You did better.
All hosted by Ryan Seacrest from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Don't miss our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Continuing tonight at 7 on the CW.
So let's first kind of just concentrate on your history growing up in Omaha and that kind of stuff, and then we'll get into your role in the Nebraska Center for Workforce Development, which is Project Reset and tools under that.
Yeah, it's subsets of the Nebraska Center. Yep.
Okay.
Tools focuses on high school kids. Project Reset focuses on reentry folks.
All right. Raj, we want to take a break around 9:30.
Yeah.
For most of us, a cluttered garage is
Yeah.
a source of great
Or
frustration.
anytime after 28:30.
And we're the owners of Garage Hood in Omaha.
Is it possible to move the mic on the other side?
This? Well, one time on on video and on radio, somehow my lips touched the microphone. Yeah, it was like, I wanted to boil my face. We don't know what's on this. So you don't want any lip fungus or anything like that.
Well,
He's like, now you tell me.
Now you may be conscious about it.
Yeah.
the last person to have their face on that mic was Rose.
Mine?
Yeah.
It's probably had 24 hours on it.
Yeah.
Contaminated.
It's been over 24.
Some things can wait. Decorating for the holidays. Shopping. Hey, there's always next day delivery. But if you're 50 or older or live with a chronic
Do you take it easy on New Year's Eve, or?
Yeah, we're going to early dinner. We'll be home. We're going to go to Gratz.
Okay.
And
You're doing the 6:30 or?
do the 7:30. I'll be home and sleep by
Yeah, there you go.
10:30, 11
We
o'clock.
can do this.
It's amateur hour tonight.
Yeah, I just got to hope my adult kids are smart enough to do the same. They
We're
won't
just
be.
going to a friend's house.
Good.
What are you doing, Chris?
We're going to the Cody's.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And then there's a New Year's party next
Was he
door.
flying last week?
Yeah. Well,
He's a Southwest pilot.
he
Great
wasn't
guy.
flying so much as he was waiting for
Orders?
things to calm down and for a flight.
So does he still get paid during all this?
So.
I hope so.
I think that's how it
God.
works.
Does he blame the software and the management? Or?
I'm not really sure. I think he said that the pilots were aware of that as an issue, but
It was just the perfect storm.
perfect storm. Yeah. I think everyone knew it was going to come. It just went.
Not the best week for it.
Sometimes, though, that's the kind of thing that wakes the company up and This will come back stronger after.
You get high quality
Yeah.
fuel.
No, that's right.
In this segment, we can really do a deep dive into all those programs.
Follow your lead.
Serving Omaha since 1952, and now with quality Amoco fuels.
Talkback to News Radio 1110 KFAB anytime with the Talkback mic on radio. Just sign in and sound off.
And welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show. There is only economic development, commercial real estate radio program brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. I'm Trenton Maggot of NAI MP Dodge. Jeff Fields, my usual co-host, has the weekend off, and I'm joined by Douglas County Sheriff-elect Aaron Hansen. And while we're speaking about Dingman's Roofing and Siding, there's no such thing. D&M Roofing and Siding. They are family-owned. They've operated since 1965, provide roofing, gutters, siding. You can go to dandmroofing.com. Eric Obrempt, president, who's been on this show. And even if they weren't paying us to say this, I got to tell you something. Jeff would never say it this way, by the way, so that's why I'm doing this, is I've used them for years. When they did my roof, they came in one day, tore it all off. The next day, put it all back on. The new roof, and not one problem since 2020. They're great on service work. Our family home, we had a small leak in the attic, and they came out the one day that it was warm enough to come out. And so I could not endorse them more, and D&M Roofing is the place to go. Well, Aaron, you have had a long 26-and-a-half-year career in law enforcement, but you weren't just a uniformed police officer. You've gotten involved in so many different ways, and I want you to give us your background of growing up in Omaha and what led you to today.
Sure, yeah. Born and raised in Omaha. My mom and dad's family are both from Omaha, down south Omaha. I grew up 44th and F Street. Went to Robbins Elementary for a bit and then St. Stan's. My dad moved us down to Houston for a few years, and luckily he moved us back. He got a job with Douglas County, actually, ironically. Douglas
Excellent,
County
nice.
And moved us back into the Florence-Ponca Hills area. Went to Nathan Hale Junior High and graduated from North High.
But it wasn't a magnet school back then, was it?
Sure it was, yeah. Yeah, I graduated in 92. It was a well-renowned magnet school at that
Excellent.
point. That's when Gene Haynes and Tom Harvey were both at the helm together, and they did great. Got hired by the police department when I was 22 years old, pretty young. It's actually the first time I ever worked west of 42nd Street. The
air wasn't thinner like people talked about.
That's right.
My dad grew up on 20th and Vinton, so he's a South Omaha boy too.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's my background. But I spent the first 3 years on uniform patrol. Spent 14 years on the K-9 unit, combating the drug cartels on Interstate I-80, intercepting gun loads and drug loads and money loads, and using the dog to help apprehend high-risk offenders in the city. Got promoted in 2014 to sergeant. Spent time as a street sergeant, and then I was placed as a supervisor in the gang unit. Ultimately, I became a supervisor in the fugitive unit, where I am right now. I spent probably about 20 years of my career involved in leadership with the Omaha Police Officer Association, 6 of which was the president. Those were tough years. That's when we had to reform the pension plan, make tough choices.
And you did a great job on that.
Well, we had to balance the interests of the taxpayers and our.
There's a bunch of spiking that was of concern.
We had to get rid of spiking. We made that go away, and that was good because we had to rebalance the ship in terms of our funding and our sustainability, and we were successful in that.
Yeah, if things like that, if pensions aren't a win-win, somebody's going to lose, and it's just not sustainable.
And it has to be because when you look at retirement benefits, it's just like wages. In this competitive recruitment and retention environment for police officers, we've got a more savvy police applicant, whether it's a lateral or a new applicant coming in, and they are looking more at that full package because we're not only competing with law enforcement, we're competing with the private sector. And we need to make sure we're competitive on those wage and benefit packages.
Well, and never has there been a time where the scrutiny on law enforcement, all federal and local, is so harsh. And my thought is, in any industry, whether it's clergy, whether it's private business, government business, whatever it is, there's bad apples, a small percentage that you don't see it coming, and the nefarious actions of one person, whether it's a police officer or someone else, that doesn't mean that the whole batch is rotten. And with social media and special interest groups and stuff, they love to use one incident and just blow it up.
Yeah, that it's unfortunate, and it's not only unfair. It's impacting our public safety, and it's impacting our ability to recruit and retain the most qualified applicants. And I think if you look at it, Douglas County is struggling with it just like Omaha Police Department is, and most agencies across the nation. They're struggling with just these record low numbers of applicants. And when I talk to young people, heck, when I talk to my own 20-year-old son, I hear consistently people they're afraid of that scrutiny. Not that they're afraid to be held accountable or professional, but I think people are just terrified, applicants, that if they do one thing wrong, even if it's a good-hearted mistake, it'll be blasted out all over social media, YouTube, the media, and they could be thrown into the political wood chipper.
And the cancel culture and everything. I mean, you're a guy who's busy and on all these committees and all these public service things, and then you still have time for your SID where you live to be on the board of your SID to work on the finances and things like that. And we see in the news, and recently there's been some real public type things where, I'm afraid to be on a board of a charitable organization because if something happens and out of my control, do I have any culpability? Do I have any liability and stuff like that? And I still volunteer and I still give to charities, but I'm more selective and more cautious.
Well, and I think that's the key. I think we need to have some good transparency, not only when it comes to government, but when it comes to our nonprofit community. I think we need to make sure that we know how these dollars are being spent, again, whether it's government efforts or nonprofit efforts, because you're right. The stakes are high, and reputations can be destroyed in a moment.
So I know one thing you're really passionate about, and you were the executive director of the Nebraska Center for Workforce Development. Talk about Project Reset and tools.
Sure. Well, the Nebraska Center for Workforce Development and Education it's a nonprofit. I think it's been in existence for about 6 years now. It was kind of the brainchild of Senator Mike McDonald, former fire chief here in Omaha, and also president of the Omaha Federation of Labor. He identified a huge problem, and that is we had people retiring from skilled labor trades at a rate that exceeded the number of young people that are replenishing those same spots. And it's not only impacting those trades, it's impacting the contractors and our business community, because you need bodies to build our community. And so under the Nebraska Center, Tools was created to expose high school kids and junior high kids to skilled labor trade possibilities and careers. And Project Reset was created as a subset program to expose people with a reentry background, or maybe someone who's struggling with a record or some other type of problems in their life where it's not as easy for them to get and keep a job. And I think both of those angles are so crucial if we're actually going to continue to grow our community. We need both of those communities, whether it's high school kids or people who need a second chance to be able to thrive.
And you've been instrumental in Project Reset, and you hooked Jeff and I up with your executive director, and it's an amazing thing, because if those people get out of prison or they're in a bad way, if you don't show them the way, or if they don't think that they can come back in and be a productive member of society, the recidivism rate is huge.
Yeah, and it comes down to mentoring. And mentoring is not just a box that you check. You talk to someone once every 2 months and see how they're doing. Mentoring has to be a commitment. And that's where Project Reset is so dedicated. They have full-time mentors. I mentor on a volunteer basis, and I can tell you a lot of the young men and some of the ladies that I've mentored, I have seen them come from struggling with their background, not having a driver's license, struggling with not having a good career, a good paying job, to today being able to take care of their kids, get their kids whatever they wanted for Christmas, have their own house, have their own apartment, have their own car. It's amazing, but you have to focus on the mentoring and building those soft skills that these employers need.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to take a short break. When we come back, you're going to have the Noddle Company's Economic Development Spotlight of the Week, and we're going to continue our discussion with Sheriff-elect Hansen. And you are listening to Trenton Maggot and guest Aaron Hansen, sponsored by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding on 1110 KFAB.
Everyone says they like working with a local company. Then
Goes fast, doesn't it?
It
does, yeah.
Loan. You know,
I did an hour with
biggest
Porteous and it
investment
went
most
like
of us
bam,
ever
bam.
make, and they grab
This
the
is
bonus
this
and
is going to be
Just
a
don't.
huge
Contact
mess for our
Holly and
nation.
her fun and professional
Yeah.
staff right here in Omaha at Eagle Mortgage for your
They said
mortgage
2.1 million
refinance
people in the
and
last
beat the
year
national
alone,
lenders on rates.
more than the population of Nebraska
Illegal
that
immigrants.
flooded across the border.
Eagle Mortgage Company.
But no, our border's
NMLS
fine.
number 2376.
Got a crew ready to earn the bucks? Astro will finalize the specs for our
Gosh, Aaron.
customers and ship materials to sites close to your hometown.
And the
Quality
fentanyl
crew then
coming
jumps
with
into
it, it's
action,
just,
building
it's,
shops, man caves,
You know,
department
I
do you
can't-
remember Tartan Tinies? They look like fentanyl. It was just like my brother used to eat those little sugar things, and now they're rainbow flavored. It looks just like candy. And
right.
oh my God, it's it's enough to kill the entire. I mean, China and the cartels, and it's scary what's happening down in Mexico and what
Oh, it is.
we're allowing.
Yeah. Very
Could you
much so.
imagine
I
being
can't
a-
bally they won't declare an emergency on the border.
Could you imagine being a border patrol officer and not being able to do your job?
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I
Frustrating.
can't believe they have any retention down there.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $893 million, which has helped provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats
your law
across the state,
enforcement can
and
help
fund
me
new
with
facilities
this
at the Nebraska
because
State Fair. The
I've
Nebraska
always been
Lottery,
under the
helping build
impression
a
that
better Nebraska.
when you're pushing drugs,
Decorating for the
trying to
holidays.
get people hooked on it,
Hey, there's always
the
things to
idea
celebrate.
is
But if you're
to
50 or
give
older or live with
somebody a
chronic
taste of
condition,
it,
untreated COVID
and then they'll
could be
want
deadly.
more.
And if you don't
The free drug program and cartels come in to
Well,
Glenwood,
yeah,
Iowa.
or whatever
So,
methods
drug
any
coverage
pusher
symptoms,
uses.
Right.
Talk to a doctor and
But
get treatment.
Why would you kill your clientele?
Why are you
Just can't
pushing
wait.
something that's killing
You can't
everybody?
do this.
Well, because it's the high is so intense with the fentanyl.
Yeah.
The impact is so intense. And if you're off, if you get 2 grains in there as opposed to 1, and they're not the ones manufactured. It's being manufactured in China,
Right.
smuggled over the Mexican border. It's the allure of the money is high enough, and plus a lot of them are selling them as fake RX drugs. So there's a lot of people dying from fentanyl overdoses that they never intended to buy fentanyl. They
Right.
wanted Percocet, they wanted
Okay.
Xanax, they wanted Adderall, and it's killing them because that's not what it is.
That's it. Do you want to talk about the fugitive task force at all before we get into the other stuff, or
No,
we can
yeah,
keep
it's fine.
going?
Yeah, focus on moving forward.
So it's really a lack of quality control.
I hate to say it, yeah. China doesn't care. I mean, from their perspective, it's a tactic against our nation.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right.
And the money is just so big. I think I'm all for harm reduction when it comes to giving addicts help. But we can't just let them live like that. We've got to beef up those problem-solving courts and make them choose. You're either going to be an addict or you're going to get better. You're going to be an addict with a criminal record and go to prison, or you're going to get better. And the drug dealers, we got to increase those penalties on those guys because they know what they're doing.
Buffalo thinks officials should have been better prepared.
They knew that the storm was coming, so they should have been well more planned.
Well, I'm glad I asked you.
Trucks and so forth.
That actually clears things up for me a little bit.
And so forth.
America is listening to Fox News. Now, the News Radio 11.
I knew there had to be a reason. I just
Time?
come to what the conclusion was.
Time?
We still have the second half, about 3 minutes.
3 minutes? This is a long break.
It's funny you talked about all that growth in the county.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for most of that in terms of that unincorporated portion of Douglas County.
Is that where like the data center is for is it Yahoo up there on Blair High Road?
Irvington there?
Irvington, yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of that growth, a lot of that new growth, the new apartment growth.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 90,000 people that live in unincorporated Douglas County. It'd be the third biggest city in Nebraska. It's a city. And that's my responsibility as sheriff. We have to patrol it. We have to do the criminal investigative follow-up. We've got to do the problem solving. And so that is the fastest growing part of our community.
So if you arrest somebody, which jail do you take them to?
Douglas County Corrections.
Douglas County Corrections, okay.
Right.
It's same as Omaha Police.
Yep. Yeah, we all use Douglas County Corrections for booking.
And will your office be at 156th?
156th in Maple, but I also have a big service to the court component to my job, and I'm going to look for office space down at the City County building as well. I need to be...
Paul Cohen? God, he's been there for...
Yeah, he's great. I need to be very close to the court system and the judges to make sure that I can serve them to the level that they need. I mean, we're responsible for their safety.
Hey, did you get that proposal done? Yeah, they can wait till tomorrow.
Some things can wait.
You lead an exciting life. Do you still get adrenaline rush?
Oh, yeah. That's the nice thing about being sheriff. If I get my paperwork done, if I get my admin work done, if I get my community interaction work done, I can throw on a gun belt and go out and jump in with some of my work
with the troops.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep in touch with the realities of what's going on. You know, I mean, it makes you a more effective sheriff, I think.
You can train without ammunition at home using the Mantis X. The Mantis X firearms training system is a no-ammo, all-electronic way to practice and improve your shooting.
I don't know if do you know Douglas County also has a forensic CSI lab that's responsible. We are the primary forensics lab for the entire Omaha metro area.
I donated some mobile lab. Was that? Do you guys have a mobile lab?
You might have, yeah. But like all these smaller communities around Douglas County, with the exception of Omaha, Sarpy County, Washington County, Dodge County, I mean, they all rely on our forensics lab to do crime scene and forensics follow-up. So it's a lot of people don't realize that.
It's amazing the campaign that you just survived, and you deserve everything.
Well,
you deserve the spoils.
The hard work starts now.
Oh yeah, no question about it. But thanks for staying with it. And oh my God, and just the mudslinging from the other side. Oh my God.
This is Jim Rose, hoping that you hear every day's Rosie Did You Nosy live at 8:50 in the morning. But in case you miss it, it's just a click away on the podcast page under Jim Rose, KFAB.com.
And welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, the area's only economic development and commercial real estate program, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing. I'm Trenton Magid of NAI, MP Dodge. Jeff Beals has the weekend off, but I am joined by Douglas County Sheriff-elect Aaron Hansen. And Dingman's Collision Center, I have known them, the Dingman's family. That's their real last name. It happens to be perfect for their industry. I've had a number of cars worked on, and some of those accidents were not my fault, but it is family-owned and operated since 1996. 4 locations: Northwest, Midtown, Omaha Southwest, and Papillion. They have been chosen Best of Omaha in auto body repair every year since 2005. They also do mechanical work as well at 120th and West Maple Road. So restore your vehicle's performance with manufacturer-approved repair procedures. Maintain your manufacturer's warranties with certified repairs. So check out Dingman's Collision Center. Highly recommended. Well, it's time for the Real Estate Development Spotlight, sponsored by Noddle Companies. Here's an update on a couple of projects in the Builders District, which runs from Cass Street on the south to Cumming Street on the north and 114th Street on the east to 17th Street on the west. So it's about a 33-acre development. Noddle Companies and Kiewit Construction are heavily involved and invested in that project area. We've talked about it before. The 4-story, 115,000-square-foot hybrid timber building at 1501 Mike Fahey Drive has broken ground. The first floor will be retail or office space, and the upper 3 floors will be office tenants. That'll be a unique modern building. There's also plans for a really cool and unique park in the Builders District, complete with a restaurant pavilion. The area will be very pedestrian friendly, and this isn't trying to copy Exarban Village. It's not intended to compete with the Gene Leahy Mall, but it is going to be unique and timeless. The Builders District will be a nod to historic Omaha. The development will bridge the gap between the Millwork Commons on the north and the Capital District and the Old Market on the south. And that is your real estate development spotlight, sponsored by Noddle Companies. Noddle Companies is an Omaha-based full-service real estate company and development company, and can be reached at noddlecompanies.com. Well, Aaron Hansen, we talked about your background in the last segment, and starting January 5th, you are going to take over the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. How does it feel after a year and a half of campaigning, and you were in the trenches, and you made great alliances? You had amazing endorsements throughout the state, and congratulations for that.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm ready. I'm ready, and I'm excited. I think I'm walking into a great organization with a strong leadership team. I'm really happy with the selection I made for my chief deputy, current Captain Will Niemock. I have all the confidence in the world that he's going to lead us to make a great law enforcement agency, one of the greatest in the region. And I look forward to the partnerships. I mean, Mayor Stothert has been probably one of the best mayors in the nation when it comes to supporting public safety and making sure that we are promoting a safe community. Look forward to partnering with her, with Chief Schmatter, who I think will be a good peer to me, a good partner when it comes to public safety executives in Douglas County, but then also our policymakers on the state level. Senator Suzanne Geist, who I think is one of the premier law enforcement and public safety leaders, and senators like Senator Mike McDonnell. I think we need a good, strong, bipartisan approach to keeping our entire community and state safe, and I want to be an important part of that discussion.
It's so refreshing when we have adults and rational people in leadership, and you're definitely in that category. During the break, we were talking about unincorporated Douglas County, which you're responsible for. There's a lot of growth to the northwest and other places. You said there's 90,000 residents?
Yeah. So, during my campaign trail, I took an opportunity. Commissioner Mike Friend and I met with individuals in the Metro Area Planning Agency because I wanted to know what am I walking into in terms of growth, in terms of need, in terms of traffic flow. And I was surprised to find that, the part of Douglas County that is experiencing the most rapid amount of growth in both population and development, infrastructure building, apartments, residences, commercial, is the area that I will be responsible for in terms of the primary response for public safety, either calls for service, uniform patrol, or criminal investigative follow-up. That is unincorporated Douglas County. And so that really ups the ante for me. I have to make sure that we're keeping the people who live in that community, which, by the way, is me and my family, my parents who live in Ponca Hills. I have to make sure that we're keeping the Douglas County Sheriff's Office ready and equipped and staffed appropriately to keep them safe and to make sure that the businesses in those areas are safe as well. It's a crucial component and requirement of government.
So how does the Douglas County Sheriff's Office interact with the Omaha Police Department to make the city run smoothly?
Well, I can tell you that interaction is going to improve exponentially. We're going to see a lot more overlap with the Omaha Police Department, not to repeat things that we both do, but to help complement each other. So I want to make sure that especially when it comes to our patrol obligations in Western Omaha or unincorporated Douglas County, that OPD and Douglas County Sheriff's Office are helping each other out as much as they can. That city-county boundary line really should only mean something to our dispatchers and not to the public that may live on one side of that street or the other. So I'm going to make sure we have good, strong team effort there. But secondarily, I want to make sure the Sheriff's Office is on point and growing to the extent that we can help complement OPD in the areas that only Sheriff's Offices really can handle. And that specifically comes into that service to the court function. I think we have a lot we're leaving on the table when it comes to our supervision and investigation of our court-involved high-risk repeat offenders. I think we need to look and see what other communities across the nation are doing to not only prevent these individuals that are under court supervision or maybe pretrial release from committing new crimes, which keeps all of us safe, but also gives them an opportunity to increase their chance at rehabilitation. Might give them an opportunity to go into a problem-solving court if it shows they can be properly supervised, or maybe avoid prison, go to probation. Everyone wins if that happens.
Absolutely. Now, you campaigned with a number of priorities and plan. You had a whole plan on your website. You still do. And give us an idea of some of your priorities as sheriff.
Well, number one, like I said, priority number one is we have to make sure that those 90,000 people that live in unincorporated Douglas County are safe and that they're getting police services that are commensurate with the growth in that community and their need. Now, if you think of it, 90,000 people in unincorporated Douglas County are under the responsibility of the sheriff's office for primary patrol and investigations. If that was a city, that'd be the third biggest city in Nebraska. And it's actually, if you think of it, it's pretty condensed as well.
Does that mean Memorial Stadium, especially with their losing record, has gone down a couple notches?
I don't think I'll touch that.
Yeah, okay, good thinking. Give it a few years.
But I think, it's important that we step back and look at that. We need to make sure that those people that live, work, and play in that part of the county are safe. And number two, when it comes to the service to the court function, a lot of people don't realize it's the sheriff's office that has primary responsibility for keeping our judges safe, our courthouse safe, our city-county buildings safe. Douglas County Sheriff's Office security team, whether it's civilian security team or the sworn staff, those are the folks keeping our mayor safe, our city council safe, our county board safe, and all the people that work in those two buildings and that entire complex safe. And so we need to make sure we're staying on point and growing that to the extent that the need is growing as well. Because Nebraska has grown our courts. I think for the last few years, they've given us another district court judge, another county court judge, and that's great. We need those judges, but we also need to keep them and their courtrooms safe.
We always hear about Omaha being in the center of the country, obviously, child trafficking, human trafficking. That's a pretty scary thing when they say Omaha is a hotbed for that. Is that true? And what are you doing to address that?
It is true, and I can tell you that's another thing that Senator Suzanne Geist, hopefully soon Mayor Suzanne Geist, Mayor of Lincoln, and State Senator Mike McDonald and I are going to be working very heavily on in this next session. Human trafficking is not necessarily what you would conjure up in your mind. A lot of people, when they think human trafficking of young girls or teens, they think kids chained up in a storage container somewhere being shipped across the country. In fact, most human trafficking of young teens comes as a result of kids being chronic runaways and kids couch surfing and adult men and sometimes adult women predating on them, knowing they need someplace warm to sleep, something to eat. They'll provide them with drugs. And next thing you know, they have slipped into a human trafficking lifestyle where they're being driven across the country to different hotels or even here locally in order to be human trafficked to make money for criminal elements. It's terrible. It needs to be addressed. Thank God we've got great groups like Rejuvenating Women that are out there trying.
Yeah, I love that organization. We've had them on the show.
Address it. They're awesome. Julie does great. Julie Schrader does an awesome job. But I think it's incumbent on law enforcement. We got to up our game. A lot of those kids that are most vulnerable are those girls that are ages 14, 15, 16, and 17. And we have to find them as quickly as we can when they run away.
The other thing before we take our last break, I want to talk a little bit about mental health and the focus. You're seeing all these great organizations building new facilities, children's hospitals building a new facility. There's one on 72nd Street that's going up. And what more can law enforcement do to get involved in helping not just children, but also adults in mental health?
Well, I think there's a couple things. Number one, what law enforcement needs to do is to help educate the public and the policymakers more about the reality, the scope of the problem. Recently I took Brian Mastery with WWT and Commissioner Mike Friend. We walked down on the riverfront, down in the tent villages, to show them the reality of the mental health crisis and how these individuals are living in tents in the woods and on the street. people need to know the depth of the problem because you can't address it unless you know it. That'll also help us educate our policymakers. You might be surprised that in the United States, you are not allowed to have a mental health inpatient facility with over 16 beds, or else you lose Medicare, Medicaid funding. It's called the IMD exclusion, and it was done for the right reason decades ago to avoid the one flew over the cuckoo's nest type mass behavioral health type facilities. But things have changed, and we need to really look at it and figure what needs to change in our laws, in our community, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's behavioral health infrastructure, because we can't become San Francisco. And unfortunately, too many parts of Omaha, they are dealing with those tent villages, and that problem only grows if you don't address it.
Absolutely. Aaron, I'm so excited to see the advancements in law enforcement that you implement, and I'm proud to say I'm a friend of yours. I'm proud to say that Omaha is a better place for you being Douglas County Sheriff. When we come back, we're going to have the Turner Construction lightning round and talk about several things that are happening and progress on a lot of developments. And this year, how we started a lot of projects. And we'll be back in a couple minutes. You're listening to Trenton Magid and Aaron Hansen on the Grow Omaha Show, 1110 KFAB.
Isn't that crazy?
What?
That's why you don't have places to put these mentally ill homeless people anymore.
16 beds.
You're limited at 16 beds. So the federal government says, you can have a bigger one if you want. We're not helping you pay for it.
So what is Children's Hospital going to do?
Well,
what's the one, Community Alliance? No. What's the one that's getting built on 72nd and like?
Well, there's a secondary fallback, and that is if you're connected to a larger hospital system.
Okay.
That if the percentage of people in inpatient mental health beds are smaller than the total, as long as it doesn't exceed a total number of people in the hospital, you can avoid it. It takes a lot of finagling.
How much time are we going to have?
Just a little over 2 minutes.
That's it? Oh, shit.
But it shouldn't be that hard. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be that hard. Ultimately, I think we're going to need these hospital systems to up their game when it comes to these inpatient beds because they're the only ones that can grow it and stay at that threshold.
Right. Well, this would be a quick thing. I got to get through this quick. We should not let them sponsor or do a commercial. These guys.
Yeah. Let the
ad people know. I don't care.
Yeah.
By women and all over social media. Find us at madhatterautorepair.com and make sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Same thing store-wide at the truck loading.
No, they just need to get with
Limited time, get up to 50% off select
the
tools
traffic
and accessories.
department. They can
In-store or
get it
online.
straightened out because we had a little problem with Mr. Mechanic.
Select your varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
There's someone else was advertising.
Yeah, Omaha Car Care.
Yeah.
Snuck their spots in. Well, it was because salespeople just want to get it closed and they don't think about the little that is minutia in the big picture, but it can really irritate a client, and I don't blame them. All right, so yeah, just here over 2 minutes, still music.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton are right here. Weekdays from 11 to 2 on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Welcome back to the Grow Omaha Show, the area's only economic development and commercial real estate radio program. Brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing. I'm Trenton Magid. Jeff Beals will join us again next week. And I'm here with Aaron Hansen, who will be sworn in as your new Douglas County Sheriff on January 5th. It is time for the Turner Construction lightning round. Turner is building for the future with over 150 full-time Turner employees in the area, 40 of whom are local to Omaha. They are the group that, although they're one of the world's largest construction companies in Omaha, they act like a small company. They do all kinds of new buildings. They're doing the Sarpy County Data Center, which is like a square mile, billions of dollars. but they can also do your project, your building, your tenant improvements and things like that. They do a lot of programs for high schools and colleges and get people into the trade. So you could, if you're looking for a construction job, call Turner Construction. Well, Aaron, this has been a very busy year for development. Not only are we getting ready to start the new streetcar project and a $600 million 44-story office tower for Mutual of Omaha, but downtown, the Mercantile, the project on the north end of ConAgra's downtown campus, the first building to be known as the Brick Line, is about to open. An office building is planned just east of the Brick Line, other buildings on the drawing board. I'm sure there'll be some hotels and things like that. So downtown Omaha is becoming more vibrant. Out west, you got the Highway 50 Tech Corridor, and things are going on the riverfront, airport expansion, and plenty of retail projects going on. Well, that was a short last segment, but Aaron Hansen, I congratulate you and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. Join us next week, Jeff Beals and Trenton Maggot on the Grow Omaha Show, 9 a.m. on Saturday. Happy New Year, everyone.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.